The small human house stood alone at the edge of the colony town. It was quiet, simple, and filled with dust. The man who lived there was not rich. He lived a lonely life, far away from the busy streets of the city. His days were plain, and his nights were empty. One morning, as he walked through the market, he saw her. She was not human. Her skin had a faint glow like pale silver under the sun. Her clothes were torn, and her eyes carried the weight of hunger and fear. She was sitting by the corner, begging with weak hands. Most people passed her without even looking. Some turned their heads in disgust. Aliens were not trusted in this town. They were seen as outsiders, problems, or worse, slaves. But he stopped. He looked at her carefully. Something in her trembling hands and silent eyes touched his heart. "Do you need work?" he asked. His voice was plain, not kind, not harsh, only curious. Her head rose slowly. She did not answer with words. She only gave a small nod. The man thought for a moment. His house was dirty, full of dust and broken things. He hated cleaning. Maybe she could help. He pulled out a few credits, barely enough to buy food for a day. "I will pay you to clean my house," he said. Her lips parted slightly as if she wanted to refuse, but her hunger was stronger. She stood up weakly and followed him. When they reached his home, she looked around with wide eyes. For her, even this small broken place was better than the cold streets. She touched the wooden table, then the walls, as if she could not believe she was allowed inside. "You clean," he said simply, and sat down to rest. She worked quietly. Her movements were slow at first, but steady. She swept the floor, washed the table, and fixed little things with surprising care. She was not lazy. She was not useless. She wanted to prove her worth. The man watched her for some time. He wondered who she really was. Why was she here? Why did she look so different from other aliens he had seen? But he did not ask. He was not the kind of man who asked too many questions. By evening, the house looked different. The dust was gone, the broken plates were stacked, and the small home felt alive again. He gave her the credits. "You can go," he said, but she did not move. Her hands clutched the money, but her eyes lowered, filled with shame. She whispered in a trembling voice, "Nowhere to go." The man sighed. He had not asked for trouble. Yet here it was, standing in front of him. Finally, he pointed to a small mat near the kitchen. "You can sleep there. Only for tonight." She nodded quickly, almost too quickly, and lay down without another word. The night grew quiet. The man went to his room and tried to sleep. The wind outside howled softly, and the air felt colder than usual. For a while, he managed to rest. But then, strange sounds began to echo through the house. Soft footsteps, a faint whisper, the creak of wood that should not move. He opened his eyes. His heart beat faster. Was it a thief? Or something worse? Slowly, he rose and walked toward the sound. The floor felt colder with every step. When he pushed open the door to his room, he froze. There she was. The alien girl, not on the mat where he left her. She was in his bed, curled up tightly under the blanket. Her eyes were open, glowing faintly in the dark. She was not asleep. She was shaking. "What are you doing here?" he demanded in a whisper. Her lips trembled. "Please, don't send me out. They are looking for me." The man frowned. "Who?" She did not answer. She only pulled the blanket closer, as if hiding from some invisible monster. Her whole body shook with fear. He felt something strange in his chest, a mixture of anger, confusion, and curiosity. She was only supposed to clean his house. That was all. But now she had brought fear and mystery into his quiet life. He stood there, staring at her while the night outside grew darker and colder, and then he heard it. Faint footsteps outside his window. Heavy, slow, not human. His blood turned cold. The night was heavy, and silence wrapped the house like a thick blanket. The man stood frozen near his bed, his eyes locked on the alien girl. She was still trembling, still clutching the blanket as if it could protect her from the whole universe. Outside, the sound came again, a slow, heavy step, then another. It was not the sound of a man. It was heavier, sharper, like metal scraping stone. The man's throat went dry. He whispered, "Who is out there?" The girl shook her head quickly, her silver eyes wide with terror. "They found me," she whispered. He leaned closer, his voice hard but low. "Who?" Her lips trembled. She wanted to speak, but fear chained her tongue. All she managed to say was, "Hunters." The word hung in the air like a curse. The man's first thought was to throw her out, let the strangers take her, and save himself from danger. She was not his problem. He had only wanted someone to clean his house. Nothing more. But when he looked at her again, small, frightened, desperate, something in him twisted. He could not explain it. Humans were weak, yes, but they were not heartless. He moved to the window slowly and peeked outside. His breath caught in his chest. 3 figures stood in the darkness. Their bodies were tall and armored, shining faintly under the pale moonlight. They had strange masks with red lights glowing where eyes should be. Their heads turned from side to side, scanning the area. One of them raised a device. It beeped softly, pulsing with a strange green glow. "They know," the girl whispered behind him. "They can sense me." The man turned back to her. "Why are they after you?" She bit her lip, tears forming in her eyes. "Because I ran. Because I carry something. Something they want." The man frowned. He did not understand, but there was no time for questions. The footsteps outside grew louder. The hunters were moving toward his door. He grabbed the girl's arm gently. "Come," she looked at him, shocked. "You will hide me?" "Quiet," he said sharply, though his heart was racing. He led her down the hall, his feet moving quickly but carefully. Every sound in the house felt like thunder now. He pushed open the small door to his basement. It was dark, cold, filled with old boxes and broken tools. "Stay here," he ordered. The girl clung to his sleeve. "They will kill you." He looked at her straight in the eyes. "Maybe, but they will not take you." Her lips parted, but she said nothing. She only sank into the shadows of the basement as he closed the door behind her. The man returned to his room just as the knock came. It was not a human knock. It was loud, heavy, like a hammer striking the wood. Boom, 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 the wall shook. Dust fell from the ceiling. The man swallowed hard and forced his voice steady. "Who's there?" No answer came. Only another strike, harder this time. The door cracked slightly at the edges. Finally, a voice spoke. It was metallic, distorted, and cold. "Human, open the door. We search." The man's heart thundered in his chest. If he refused, they might tear the whole house apart. If he allowed them in, they would find her. He glanced around his room quickly, searching for anything he could use. His eyes landed on a rusty metal pipe leaning against the wall. It was no weapon against armored aliens, but it was all he had. The door burst open with a crash. The 3 hunters stepped inside, their glowing red eyes scanning the room. The air seemed to grow colder around them. The man tightened his grip on the pipe, hiding it behind his leg. One of the hunters stepped forward. Its voice growled, "A fugitive female. We track her here." "I live alone," the man said calmly, though his palms were wet with sweat. The hunter raised its device again. It beeped, glowing brighter. "The signal is strong. She hides nearby." The man forced a laugh. "This is an old house, full of strange metals. Your toy must be broken." The hunters turned their heads toward him. The silence stretched, sharp and dangerous. Then suddenly one of them moved toward the basement door. The man's blood froze. He acted without thinking. He stepped quickly in front of the hunter, blocking its path. "Nothing down there. Just junk." The hunter's mask tilted, studying him. Its red eyes glowed brighter. Then, without warning, it shoved him aside. The man stumbled, his pipe clattering to the floor. The hunter reached for the basement door handle. "No!" the man shouted. He grabbed the pipe again and swung with all his strength. The metal pipe crashed against the alien's armored helmet. The sound rang out like thunder. The hunter staggered back, surprised more than hurt. The other 2 hunters turned instantly, their glowing eyes locking on the man. He stood trembling, holding his pipe like a sword, his chest heaving. He knew he could not win. He was only human, but he also knew one thing. He would not let them touch her. The hunters stood inside the man's home, red eyes glowing, weapons raised. The air smelled of cold metal and danger. The man gripped his pipe tightly, his heart beating so hard he thought they might hear it. For a long moment, no one moved. The hunters seemed to wait, as if testing his fear. But then one of them tilted its head, the red glow dimming. "Not worth," the distorted voice said. "Weak human." Another growled, but finally all 3 stepped back. Their metal boots echoed on the wooden floor as they walked away. The last one paused at the broken door, turning its red eyes on him. "We return. She cannot hide forever." Then they left, their shadows vanishing into the night. The man stood frozen. His whole body trembled. but he did not drop the pipe until silence filled the house again. His chest heaved as he whispered to himself, "What did I just do?" He rushed to the basement. The girl sat in the corner, hugging her knees, her silver eyes wide with fear. When she saw him, her lips parted. "You fought them," she whispered. "Not for long," he muttered, leaning the pipe against the wall. "Now you will tell me the truth. What do they want with you?" She hesitated. Her fingers gripped her arms so tightly they turned pale. "If I tell you, you will hate me. You will throw me out," the man sighed. "I almost died for you tonight. I think you owe me more than silence." Her glowing eyes shimmered with tears. She looked down, her voice soft as she spoke. "I am not just poor. I am not just a runaway. I carry something inside me. Something they want more than my life." The man frowned. "Inside you?" She touched the side of her chest gently. "Yes, my people. We were slaves to the empire. We were forced to create things for them, weapons, power, but one secret we kept hidden. A crystal, living energy made from the last breath of our dying world. It was given to me." Her hand trembled as she spoke. "I ran with it. I ran because they wanted to use it to destroy, to conquer. But the crystal, it does not belong to them. It belongs to someone who can protect, not someone who will rule." The man rubbed his forehead. "And you think that's me?" She looked at him strangely, almost with disbelief. "I don't know yet. But when you stood in front of them, when you raised that pipe, no slave, no soldier, no alien has done such a thing. Only a human could." Her words cut into him. He was not a hero. He was just a man who cleaned, worked, and tried to live quietly. He wanted no wars, no secrets. And yet here he was, dragged into something he could not escape. "What does this crystal do?" he asked. The girl's eyes lowered. "It can change. It can evolve life. It can turn weakness into strength. But it is dangerous. If the wrong hands touch it, it will burn whole worlds. If the right hands hold it, it can protect them." The man stepped back slowly, his voice sharp. "And you're carrying this thing? Here in my house?" She nodded quietly. He cursed under his breath, pacing across the cold floor. "So those hunters will come back. Again and again. And you brought this danger to me?" Her tears fell now. "I had no choice. I was starving. I was dying. No one would help me. You were the only one who looked at me like I was alive." The man stopped. He stared at her. The truth in her voice broke through his anger. She was not lying. She was not trying to trick him. She was just a girl running from a nightmare. And now her nightmare had become his too. He sat down heavily on a wooden box. His hands rubbed his tired face. "So what now? Do I just wait here until they break down my walls and kill me?" The girl shook her head. "No, if you let me stay, I can show you. I can show you what the crystal holds. Maybe it chose you." The man looked at her sharply. "Chose me? Why me?" Her silver eyes met his. "Because you are human. And humans are not like the others." Her words unsettled him. Humans were weak, fragile compared to aliens. Yet she spoke with such certainty, as if humans held something invisible, something the Empire feared. Before he could reply, she reached under her torn clothes and pulled out a small pouch. From it she revealed the crystal. It was not like any stone he had ever seen. It pulsed softly, glowing with a heartbeat of light like it was alive. The air around it hummed, filling the room with a strange warmth. The man leaned forward, eyes wide. "That is inside you?" "No," she whispered. "It is bound to me, but it will answer to you." She extended her trembling hands toward him, the crystal resting on her palms. "Take it," the man hesitated. His instincts screamed danger, but his curiosity burned hotter. Slowly he reached out. His fingers brushed the glowing surface. Instantly a surge of heat shot through his arm. His whole body shivered. His vision blurred. He felt as if the world was opening inside his mind. He pulled back, gasping. What is this?" The girl stared at him, her face pale but filled with awe. "It lives inside you now. The crystal accepted you." The man's heart pounded. He clenched his fists, feeling something new running through his veins. Strength, fire, and fear all mixed together. "What have you done to me?" he whispered. The night was restless. The man sat awake, his mind spinning with fear and questions. The crystal's warmth still pulsed faintly in his chest like a second heartbeat. He could feel it, alive inside him, but he did not understand it. The alien girl sat quietly in the corner, her silver eyes watching him. She had not spoken much after giving him the crystal. She seemed both relieved and worried. Finally, the man broke the silence. "They will come again," she nodded slowly. "Yes, the hunters never stop. And now they will bring more." The man rubbed his face. "Then I need to be ready." He looked around his small, broken house. It was no fortress. It was barely strong enough to keep out the rain. But it was all he had. If they were coming, he would make them regret it. By morning, he was busy. He dragged old boxes, broken chairs, and scraps of metal to block the windows. He filled bottles with sharp nails and broken glass, placing them near the doors. He took ropes, wires, and simple tools to create traps across the hallway. The girl watched him, puzzled. "Why do you waste time? Their armor is too strong. Your traps will not kill them." The man gave a small, grim smile. "I know, but they don't need to die. They just need to fall, trip, get confused. Humans survive not by strength, but by tricks." Her eyes widened slightly. She had never seen someone prepare like this. By nightfall, the house looked strange, almost alive with hidden dangers. The man stood proudly, holding his rusty pipe once again. Let them come. He did not wait long. The ground began to shake. This time the hunters did not come quietly. A loud roar filled the air, and bright red lights glowed outside. Shadows stretched across his walls. The girl gasped, clutching his sleeve. "Not just hunters. Soldiers." The man's chest tightened. Through the broken door he saw them. 6 armored aliens, larger than before, their weapons glowing with red fire. Behind them a hovering craft hummed, casting sharp beams of light across the yard. He whispered under his breath, "This is madness," but he did not run. The soldiers marched forward, smashing through his wooden fence. Their leader raised a heavy weapon and shouted in a metallic growl, "Human! Surrender the fugitive or be destroyed." The man's grip on his pipe tightened. His voice shook, but he forced it out. "She's not here." The soldiers stepped closer. The leader scanned the house. "Lies, the crystal's energy burns inside this place." The man's heart raced. The crystal was inside him now. They could feel it. He took a deep breath. "Then come and take it." The first soldier stormed into the hallway. As soon as his foot touched the wooden floor, a wire snapped, dropping a heavy box of stones from above. It crashed onto his helmet, knocking him to the ground with a loud thud. The others froze. The human shouted from inside, "Welcome to my house." The soldiers roared and rushed in, but the man's traps came alive. Bottles of glass shattered under their boots, sharp pieces cutting into the gaps of their armor. A chair leg, sharpened to a point, swung down on a rope and struck another soldier in the chest. The man moved quickly, using his small knowledge of the house. He struck from the shadows, hitting one soldier's weapon arm with his pipe. Sparks flew and the alien cursed in its strange tongue. The girl, hidden in the basement doorway, watched in shock. He was not strong like them, not trained like them, but he moved with desperate courage, turning his broken home into a battlefield. Still, the soldiers were powerful. One swung its massive arm and smashed through the traps, breaking the wall apart. Another raised its weapon, firing a beam of red energy that burned a hole through the floor. The man barely rolled aside, his chest burning with fear. But then something happened. The crystal inside him pulsed harder, like a living flame. His vision sharpened, his muscles felt lighter. For a brief moment, he moved faster than before. He swung the pipe again, and this time the blow cracked through an alien's mask. The soldier screamed, sparks flying as it fell to the ground. The man gasped, staring at his own hands. What is happening to me?" The girl whispered almost to herself. "The crystal is waking." The remaining soldiers regrouped, angrier than before. Their leader pointed at the man. "He has bonded with it. Kill him." They rushed together, weapons raised. The man stumbled back, his strength fading as quickly as it came. He was still human, still weak. He tripped and fell, his pipe clattering across the floor. The soldiers loomed over him, red weapons glowing bright. His chest rose and fell, heart pounding. He thought this was the end, but then the house shook with a loud boom. Outside, the hovering craft exploded into flames. Pieces of burning metal rained from the sky. The soldiers turned in shock. The man and the girl both stared. Someone else had fired. The flames from the crashed craft lit the night sky in red and orange. Smoke curled through the broken walls of the man's small house. The soldiers of the Empire stood frozen, their glowing eyes fixed on the cloaked figure who had destroyed their ship. The man lay on the ground, breathing hard, his pipe just out of reach. His body ached, but his eyes stayed sharp. The girl crawled from the basement, her silver eyes wide with fear. The cloaked figure stepped closer. His weapon still glowed blue, humming softly like thunder waiting to strike. His voice cut through the smoke. "Human, step aside. Give me the crystal." The man's fist clenched. His voice came out low but firm. "No," the figure tilted his head. "Do you even understand what you carry? That power was never meant for you." The girl spoke suddenly, her voice trembling but strong. "You cannot take it. It already chose him." The figure's glowing mask turned toward her. "A runaway slave has no right to speak." The man forced himself up, swaying but standing tall. "She has every right. She risked her life to keep it away from monsters like you." The figure raised his weapon. The soldiers behind him hissed, ready to strike. But before the fight could begin, the ground beneath them rumbled. The crystal inside the man pulsed hard, sending a wave of light across the house. The aliens staggered, their weapons sparking. The girl gasped. "It is protecting you." The figure steadied himself, glaring at the man. "So be it. The Empire will crush you both. But know this, your life is no longer your own. You belong to the crystal now." With that, he vanished into the smoke, the soldiers retreating with him. In moments, the yard was empty, leaving only fire and silence. The man collapsed onto a chair, his chest heaving. Sweat dripped down his face. The girl rushed to him, kneeling at his side. "Are you hurt?" He shook his head slowly. "No, but I don't feel the same." He placed a hand over his chest. The warmth of the crystal burned softly inside him, not painful but alive. The girl lowered her head. "You are bonded now. The crystal will never leave you." He frowned. "And what does that mean for me?" Her silver eyes shone in the firelight. "It means you are no longer only human. You are something more." The man stared at her. He wanted to deny it, to shout that he was still the same, but deep inside he knew she was right. His body felt different, his senses sharper, his courage stronger, and yet it frightened him. The girl sat beside him quietly. For a long moment they both listened to the crackle of flames. Finally she spoke softly. "Do you know why my people created the crystal?" He shook his head. She looked at the fire as if seeing her lost world inside it. "We were slaves to the Empire for centuries. We built their ships, their weapons, their machines of war, but in secret we made something else, something that was not for them. The crystal was born from our suffering, but it was not a weapon. It was hope. A way to break free, a way to survive." She turned her gaze to him. "But the crystal could not bond with us. Our bodies were too weak, too controlled by fear. Only a being who fought not for power but for choice, for heart, could hold it. That is why I ran. I had to find someone who could carry it." The man frowned. "And you think humans are that someone?" She nodded. "You are different. The Empire underestimates you. They see weakness, but they do not see your will. That is why you stood against them tonight, when any other would have bowed." The man leaned back, overwhelmed. He had never thought of himself as strong. He was just a worker, a lonely man with a broken house and a quiet life. But here, with her words and the crystal's fire inside him, he felt something he had never felt before. Purpose. The girl's hand trembled as she touched his arm gently. "You saved me. Not once but twice, and I will stay with you until the end. Because if you fall, the crystal falls. And if you rise..." She stopped, her eyes filling with tears. He looked at her quietly. "If I rise..." "What then?" Her lips curved into a faint smile. "Then maybe humanity will rise too." The night stretched on. The fires outside slowly died, leaving only ash and smoke. The man did not sleep. He could not. The warmth in his chest kept him awake, whispering strange thoughts in the back of his mind. When dawn came, the world felt different. The air seemed sharper, the light brighter. His body moved with a strange ease, his steps quicker, his grip stronger. He lifted his pipe without effort, surprised at how light it felt. The girl watched him, her eyes full of quiet wonder. "The bond grows." He shook his head, half in awe, half in fear. "I don't want power. I just wanted a quiet life." "You cannot go back now," she said softly. "The Empire will not stop, and neither will the crystal." He walked to the broken door, staring at the horizon. His heart was heavy, but his chest burned with new strength. He could feel the crystal inside him, not as a weapon, but as a voice whispering of survival, of protection, of destiny. He whispered back, almost to himself, "Then I'll protect her. And if I must fight, I'll fight as a human. The girl stood beside him, silent but strong. For the first time, she was not only a fugitive. She was his ally. The morning sky darkened too quickly. It was not clouds. It was the shadow of ships, Empire warships, spreading across the horizon. The man stood at his broken door, staring at them with wide eyes. His small house trembled as their engines roared. The girl stepped closer, her face pale. "This is more than I feared. They are not only hunters now. They bring war." The man's throat tightened. He had no army, no allies, no weapons besides a pipe. Yet inside his chest the crystal pulsed harder, faster, like it was answering the threat in the sky. He whispered, "I am only one man. How can I fight this?" The girl touched his arm gently. "You are not only a man anymore." That day was filled with silence and waiting. The colony townspeople ran in fear, locking themselves in their homes. Some fled into the woods. None came to help. Everyone knew the Empire's power. Resistance was useless. But inside the broken house, something was happening. The man felt it every time he moved. His body no longer ached the way it used to. His wounds healed faster. His sight reached farther. His hearing caught whispers from far away. At one point, he lifted a heavy wooden beam that had fallen across the yard. Before, it would have taken 2 men. Now he moved it with one hand. He stood in shock, staring at his own strength. The girl nodded quietly. "The crystal is merging with you. It does not make you less human. It makes you more human. It awakens what was always hidden inside." Her words echoed in his mind. More human. By nightfall, the Empire came. Their ships landed on the edge of town with a thunderous crash. Soldiers marched in lines, their glowing weapons ready. At the front, the cloaked figure from before appeared again, his blue fire weapon humming with deadly power. He raised his hand, and his voice boomed. "Human, you carry what does not belong to you. Surrender now or watch your world burn." The man stepped out from his ruined home. The girl followed behind him, clutching her torn clothes, her silver eyes bright with fear. The soldiers aimed their weapons. The man felt the crystal burn inside him like a fire waking from deep sleep. He raised his pipe, his voice steady. "If you want it, come take it." The cloaked figure laughed coldly. "You are nothing but flesh and dust. Your tricks will not save you this time." The first wave of soldiers charged. Their armored boots shook the ground. Their weapons flashed red. The man braced himself. And then, it happened. The crystal surged through his body, exploding like lightning in his veins. His movements became faster, sharper. He dodged the first strike with ease, swung his pipe, and struck down a soldier so hard the armor cracked open. He did not stop. He moved again, faster than thought, weaving between enemies. His blows were precise, his strength unnatural. To the soldiers, he was no longer just a human. He was a storm. The girl watched, stunned. Her lips parted as she whispered, He is changing." The man felt no fear now. He felt alive. Every strike, every step, the crystal guided him, not as a master, but as a partner. His body learned, adapted, evolved with each movement. He disarmed one soldier, caught the weapon midair, and fired it back at another. Red beams cut through the night. Sparks flew. The soldiers fell one after another. The colony's people peeked from their windows, their eyes wide. They had never seen a human fight like this. They had never seen hope like this. The cloaked figure stepped forward, no longer laughing. His voice was sharp. "So, it begins. The crystal has awakened in you." The man stood tall, his chest heaving, his pipe still glowing faintly from the crystal's fire. "I didn't choose this, but I will use it. Not for power. Not for you. For us." The figure raised his blue weapon. "Then you will die as the first of your kind." The two clashed. The man's pipe struck against the glowing blade, sparks exploding in the air. The sound of metal and energy filled the yard. The man's arms shook, but his strength grew each time they clashed. He pushed back, forcing the figure to stumble. The figure growled. "Impossible. No human should stand against me." The man's voice was steady. "Maybe that's the problem. You think humans are weak, but weakness is only the beginning of strength." With a sudden burst, he struck the figure's chest, sending him crashing into the dirt. The blue weapon flew from his hand. The soldiers hesitated, their glowing eyes flickering. For the first time, they saw one of their own defeated by a human. The girl's voice rang out. "Do you see? He is not a slave. He is not prey. He is proof that humans cannot be broken." The soldiers growled, but some stepped back. Fear touched even their armored hearts. The man stood holding both the pipe and the glowing blue weapon. His chest burned with light, his eyes sharper than ever, but the fight was not over. Above them, the largest ship began to move. Its weapons charged, glowing brighter than the sun. The girl's face went pale. "They will burn the whole colony." The man looked up at the massive ship. His fist clenched. He felt the crystal pulse again, stronger than ever, whispering in his mind. He could sense something, an ability, a power waiting to be unlocked. He whispered to himself, "If I don't stop them, no one will." The night sky burned with red fire. The Empire's warship hovered above the colony, its massive cannons glowing brighter and brighter. The people hid in silence, their faces pale with fear. No human had ever stood against such power. But one man did. He stood in the open, chest burning with the crystal's light, a simple pipe in one hand and an alien weapon in the other. The alien girl stood behind him, her silver eyes full of both terror and hope. The ground shook as the warship prepared to fire. The girl whispered, "You cannot stop that. It is too strong." The man tightened his grip. His voice was low but steady. "Maybe, but if I don't try, everyone dies." The crystal inside him pulsed like a heartbeat, faster and stronger. His body glowed faintly now, the light spreading through his veins. He felt power, yes, but more than power, he felt something deeper. A connection. The crystal whispered without words, filling his mind with visions. He saw the faces of humans, weak, tired, struggling, but standing tall, refusing to kneel. He saw the girl's people, broken by chains, but still hiding hope. He saw his own life, lonely and small, now burning with purpose. He understood then. The crystal was not meant to give him alien strength. It was meant to awaken what was already there, human will, human choice, human heart. The warship fired. A blazing beam of red energy shot down toward the colony. The air screamed as it cut through the sky. The man raised his weapon, but it was not enough. He dropped it. Instead, he raised his bare hands and the crystal answered. A shield of blinding light burst from his chest, spreading wide over the colony. The red beam crashed into it with a thunderous roar, shaking the ground, splitting the air. The people screamed, but the shield held. The man stood firm, his feet digging into the dirt, his arms shaking under the weight of the beam. The crystal's light burned brighter, wrapping him in fire. His body screamed in pain, but his heart refused to break. The girl cried out, "You'll die!" His voice thundered back, filled with fire. "Then I'll die as a human who fought." The warship's cannons powered up again, ready for another strike. The man's shield flickered, his body trembling. He knew he could not hold it forever. Then something unexpected happened. The people of the colony, who had hidden in fear, began to emerge. One by one, men and women stepped out of their homes. They saw him, one of their own, standing against the impossible, and something awoke in them too. They grabbed tools, stones, old rifles, anything they could find. They shouted, their voices rising like a storm. For the first time, they did not bow their heads. For the first time, they fought. The soldiers on the ground staggered under the sudden resistance. The humans threw fire, metal, and fury. They were weak, but they were many, and they were no longer afraid. The man saw them. His chest swelled with pride. The crystal flared again, brighter than ever, feeding on the will of all around him. He roared, "We are not slaves. We are not prey. We are human." The shield grew stronger, pushing the red beam back. The cloaked figure on the battlefield screamed in fury. "No, this is impossible." The man's eyes locked on him. His body burned, his veins alive with light. He charged faster than sight and struck the figure with his pipe. The blow shattered the mask, revealing a twisted alien face beneath. The figure fell, broken, his voice fading. "This is only the beginning. The Empire will come again." The man stood over him, his chest glowing. His voice was steady, sharp as steel. "Then let them come. We'll be ready." Above, the warship's cannons flickered, their energy fading. The shield of light burst outward in one final wave. The explosion rocked the sky. The warship tore apart in flames, crashing into the hills beyond the colony. Silence followed. Smoke curled into the night. The soldiers fled, their courage shattered. The people stared in awe. A human, just one human, had done what no one thought possible. The man fell to his knees, exhausted. The crystal's glow dimmed but did not fade. The girl rushed to him, holding his shoulders. "You survived. You truly survived." He gave a tired smile. "I'm still human, just more awake than before." The girl's silver eyes filled with tears. They will fear you now. Not just you, your kind. They will fear humanity. He looked at the people of the colony who stood together now stronger than before. For the first time, they did not look broken. They looked alive. He rose slowly, leaning on his pipe. His voice carried across the silent crowd. This is only the start. The Empire thought we were weak. They thought we would kneel forever. But today they saw the truth. He lifted his pipe high, its broken end glowing faintly in the firelight. Humans survive. Humans fight. And humans evolve, the crowd roared. Far away, deep in space, the Empire's leaders received word of their defeat. For the first time in history, they whispered a new word with fear. Human.